So today, what I want to do is I find myself extraordinarily grateful. I got an email from somebody yesterday. They're like, how you holding up? Because they know some things that are going on in my personal life and everything else. And they're like, how you doing? And I'm like, strangely, very hopeful, which is always a bad sign.
Always the worst sign. Whenever Glenn finds hope, promise in the world, a future that doesn't look like us all burning in the fires of hell.
Well,
when that happens, that means we're all in real trouble.
Yeah, we're all in real trouble because it's getting bad. But I said surprisingly hopeful. I really am hopeful. And more than that, I am grateful. And I'm so grateful to you. It's just a wonderful life. It is a wonderful life. It's not fun. It's not void of, screaming and gnashing of teeth,
genitals bleeding of their own accord.
Yes, it's not void of that, but it's
good.
But it's still good.
Really,
it's still good. Yeah,
you're gonna have to prove this case. I think
I would like to prove.
I'm
this
not willing
case.
to just accept.
Okay, all right. May I make a case?
Yes.
And I think maybe you were the one who said it yesterday. So I blame this hope on you, Stu. You said, we were talking about George Bailey, and maybe it was you, could have been me because it was so genius, that said, what would life be like without this audience never being assembled? I have said for years, that this audience is going to change the course of our country. I don't know how, but it'll be this audience that saves our republic. Now, I no longer believe that we're going to save it entirely, but I know that it will go on and it will be preserved, at least in the hearts and perhaps in caves and underground places.
Just to remind you, this is a commentary of hope. We may be in caves. That is literally where your hope monologue started.
We'll probably be dead.
Oh, okay.
But the documents and things like that will be saved. For thousands of years later, when people find it and they go, America wasn't so bad.
We can be like America Emeritus.
Amen, brother.
Eventually that will come.
And so I thought, this audience has changed so much in our country, literally. In our country, this audience, we thought about this yesterday because Mother Jones just blamed this anti-ESG, because ESG is starting to fall apart, and I mean badly fall apart. And Mother Jones actually blamed it on, they blamed it on me. I blame it on you. Your Honor, it was them. But it was you. I wrote the book last year, wondered if we could even stop it, if we could make a dent in this global machine where they have literally trillions of dollars behind it. How do you stop that? Well, I don't know if we've stopped it, but you have derailed many of the trains already. And that's you. That's not me. That's you. You heard it, and then you started to spread the word. You started to get involved in your local and state and federal agencies, and look what's happened. And this isn't the first time this has happened. The 9/12 Project, Tea Party, would have existed, but without the 9/12 Project, would it have been the same? The 9/12 Project was all about remember who we are. That started a growth of teaching our children. I have met so many. Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk says, I remember watching you on Fox and learning all of this stuff. And my mom and dad, we'd talk about it at dinner every night. Think of the people that you have affected because you watched a show or listened to a show, and then you took that information and you gave it to somebody else. I think we are growing the next George Washington because of this audience. the next Abraham Lincoln? How about moms? I just got a legacy award for Moms for America. And I tried to say to them in the acceptance speech, in fact, I did. I said, because of who I am, I get blamed for a lot of things I had nothing to do with. However, because of who I am, I also get credit for things I am nowhere to be found. And that's this. Moms for America said, it was, we're listening to Glenn who did, but you did it. You did it. The audience did it. Moms for America, Moms for Liberty, Just a Mom came from that. Think of the thousands of people and their families for generations that you saved, not just in Afghanistan, but in Syria, in Iraq. I mean, thousands of people. There are new communities of Christians that are popping up all around the world because of you. Think of the children that you have saved all over the world through Operation OUR. Tim Ballard, there's a new thing out on PragerU where he's talking about how the whole thing started. And I didn't know he was filming this, but it was a meeting the first meeting we ever had where he told me, yeah, he used to work for the Department of Homeland Security and wait a minute, what? He pulls out a badge and he said, I have to quit. I have to quit my job, but I don't have any money. And I said, we'll get you the money. And this audience started that. So what are the things that you have seen this audience? What are the ripple effects? I'd like to put together a George Bailey list that if you weren't part of this audience, if this audience never existed, how different would life be? Do you know, because of you, we now have not only Mercury One, which is given, I don't even know, between $100 and $150 million away. $100 to $150 million have been given to charitable organizations and people through hurricanes or, disasters, whatever it is. $150 million. Do you know what an impact that has made? Do you know that Mercury One now has between me, Mercury One, and David Barton, we now have the third largest collection of American documents in the world. We're only behind the National Archives and the Library of Congress. We have in our vault, we have the largest collection of Mayflower, Pilgrim, and Jamestown artifacts in the world. We're doing a show tonight, and it's of this amazing auction. People always say, how do you get all of these things? A lot of them is auction, and a lot of it is from David Barton's charity. A lot of it is Tanya and I, write the check. Tanya was like, you damn well better sell more paintings. Everything, all the paintings that I make, 100% of that money goes to preserve. And then we go to auctions. And we've got an auction tonight that you'll see on Blaze TV and I think on YouTube as well. I think it's on my YouTube channel. It is this incredible auction that had everything from the phone Marilyn Monroe would talk to JFK on at Bing Crosby's house. It was a hotline. It was amazing. To the founding document of Texas, the first in Stephen F. Austin's own hand, the founding document of Texas, to Sputnik, to Teddy Roosevelt's speech where he was going in to give the speech at the Bull Moose Party, which gave us Woodrow Wilson, and he was shot And so it's the speech with the bullet hole through it. Amazing things. And then you see all the way through me just wanting to vomit, just trying to bid on some of these things so we can preserve them. And you'll see at the end, what did we get? Did we get any of these things? It's incredible. It's incredible. But that's because of you. I am taking my own money and buying much of this stuff, but I couldn't afford any of this if it wasn't for you going to the local businesses and the advertisers that we have. It wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen. It all is because of you. And I just want you to know the power that you have as an individual and as the collective audience. This is the greatest audience ever assembled. I'm convinced in the history of broadcast. I can't think of a better commercial audience than this one. I mean, I'm sure, Billy Graham had, kind of a good crowd, but for a commercial, think of this. Think of this. Think of the businesses that you saved because of COVID. Do you know the world wouldn't really know about the Tides Foundation if it wasn't for you? Do you know that George Soros, do you think George Soros would be known in America as enemy number one if it wasn't for you? How about Terry Schiavo? Her name wouldn't be known if it wasn't for this audience. Woodrow Wilson would still be considered one of the best presidents ever. Progressivism wouldn't really truly be known the way it is today without you. That's pretty remarkable. I'd love to hear from you if you felt the ripple, or if I'm missing what else has happened in America? What would America be like without you? I think vastly different.
I mean, we mentioned the politics thing real quick, but it's like, and politics are politics. But the Tea Party thing, in conjunction with the 9/12 project,
Tea
this
Party
audience,
is not me, but
well,
yes.
I mean, you did. No, again, you're not talking about you. You're talking about this audience, and this audience was central to the Tea Party. Remember, that produced the largest wave election of a century.
Yeah.
A century.
I think it planted the roots for the good guys that we're getting today.
Yeah.
The politicians who are actually the good ones, that planted that seed.